Hey, howdy, hi! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by to join me today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Ellie, and I'm a witch. This over here is my teaching assistant, Andy, and today is Monday, which means it is Misheard History, and I'm just gonna say, I bet you can't figure out what today's topic is. If you came from yesterday's video, then obviously you know that today's topic is the history of gambling, but it took me 8 minutes to find my playing cards, so you just gotta roll with me. If you are unaware of what this series is, on Mondays I talk about history topics that you may or may not have learned about in school, and I tell you the truth behind them. If you're not interested in history, however, I do have a couple of other series on my channel. On Sundays, I talk about cryptids, and on Tuesdays, I do Tea Time and True Crime, where I take a true crime topic and I tell you all about it. Yesterday, I did Cryptid Countdown, and I talked about the cryptids of Wyoming. And tomorrow, when I do my Tea Time and True Crime, I'm gonna actually not be talking about murder this time. I'm actually gonna be talking about an imposter who went by the moniker Princess Caribou of Javasu. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into this topic. So gambling doesn't have a singular origin. It can be traced back to multiple early civilizations. In China, we can trace gambling back to about 2300 BCE, where they would use tiles for games of chance. And now they used betting houses, which would be casinos, and they used those to meet and play these gambling games. A very well-known game at the time being White Pigeon Ticket. Now, the true origin is disputed, but the two most popular origin stories revolve around literal pigeons. Pigeons were used as means of communication, and it's said that betting houses would use white pigeons to deliver tickets to bettors. The other origin says that the game itself was about white pigeons. So groups of white pigeons would be marked with Chinese characters, and people would place bets on which group would return from their mission first. It was also popular at the time to bet on animal fights, which is illegal in modern times. In ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, dice have been found, which suggests that they too played games of chance. They also had punishments for those who became addicted. They would be required to do forced labor in quarries. For these simple games between people, the act of gambling became more normalized as we see Greece and Rome grow. There are stories about both gods and goddesses throwing dice to determine outcomes, even though gambling and dice games were illegal in Greece at that time. In Rome, gambling became so popular it had to be regulated by the government, especially when it came to sports, like betting on chariot races. In the Americas, we see Native Americans also use dice to bet, and we saw that when the Europeans interacted with them, dice were used to bet items that the loser would give up to the winner. It was also used spiritually, though, and as a way to predict the fates. However, as the world began to change and paganism became less popular, religious leaders sought to ban gambling, calling it sinful and immoral, though that did not stop people from continuing. As time shifted and what we know as the medieval period was in full swing, card games became another way for people to gamble. Card games were seen in China and Japan as gambling began to be more popular and widespread. It is seen around this time the origins of the games that we play today. Going to the Renaissance period, Italy began creating casinos, bringing the fun under one roof for ease of access. The most well-known casino being the Reddito. The casino idea then spread very quickly through the rest of Europe. We start seeing games evolve into a more recognizable game. Poker, for example, derives from the Persian game Asnas. The cards were slightly different, having only 5 card designs and being played with 25 cards, though the original Asnas did fall out of popularity in the 1940s. It is the basis of our modern game, and the cards are still beautiful. The Industrial Revolution brought about new ways to gamble. Now, the invention of the telegraph meant that people could make long-distance bets on events like horse racing. It also saw Las Vegas become a gambling hub in late 19th and early 20th centuries. And we see card games start to go out of favor while machines began being developed. Now, the first slot machine developed by the firm Sitman and Pitt in 1891. Now, they were found in bars at first. This slot machine had 5 drums and contained 50 playing cards. The bettor would insert a nickel, pull a lever, and the game would begin. You had to play the cards correctly to win, though the house had the advantage, of course. If you did win, you could choose to take the direct payout option, which you would collect from the bartender, and was usually either liquor or cigarettes. In our modern age, we see the expansion of gambling in online platforms, which has its own obstacles like age verification and addiction. Online gambling is regulated by the Gaming Commission, which was founded in 1996. There are many modes of online betting, live online spaces, online slots or card games, and even mobile games that allow you to bet using real currency. Now, many laws and regulations are the same or similar to what we had in place today. National and local legislation was created to allow gambling in certain areas or jurisdictions while banning it in others. This led to what was called gambling tourism, visiting a place where gambling is legal merely to gamble, as well as just illegal gambling taking place. The relationship between government and gambling facilities has always been very strong through regulations and taxes. This meant that for certain places, much of the government revenue came from gambling and casinos. Regulations to protect gamblers have also been in place from close to the beginning. This was to prevent high payouts from being impossible, and even though the house will always have an advantage, gamblers do have the ability to win, even if it is incredibly rare. Gambling age is also not new, as there have been many regulations placed throughout the years to mandate a minimum age, though the type of game would determine the age limit. Different religions also made different rules on the morality surrounding gambling. Buddhism and Hinduism both saw gambling as a destructive art and were against it. Ancient Jewish authorities also frowned on gambling to the point that professional gamblers were not permitted to testify in court. Catholics are not opposed to gambling as long as it is fair for all parties and no fraud is involved. Most Christian religions are split, but mostly it is seen as sinful to gamble. Now, Islam sees gambling as sinful, acknowledging that it can be beneficial, but the cons outweigh the pros. Now, slots and card games have come a long way from the days of origin, but of course, the fascination has stayed. There are so many ways to play and win, and they will continue to evolve in this field. I, for one, would love to see euchre in a casino. That would be the only reason for me to go, if I'm honest. But advancements in technology and the increased interest in certain games will help casinos expand in the future, and I, for one, am excited to see what people will come up next. That's all I have for you today. Pretty short. I enjoyed looking into this because I guess I just never really thought about it. I turned 18 right before the law changed for gambling from 18 to 21. So I didn't do the whole gambling thing, and I then COVID, and so I've been in a casino 3 times now, and it was strictly to eat lunch. I'm boring in that way. I never really understood it. Scratchers are cool. Online betting, give me a bingo game. That's pretty cool. I'll give you that one. But I never really understood the hype, and I didn't know the history of it. Everybody I know doesn't go to casinos. We all do scratchers. I worked at a convenience store for 4 years, and everybody loved scratchers, and I was never told to go to a casino. So I thought that that was really interesting to look up. But yeah, I seeing the original slot machine kind of cool. Obviously, everything comes from somewhere, but you don't think about it because we have our modern technologies. So it's cool to see where stuff came from. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, if you want to hit that thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. If I missed any specific stuff that you know about gambling, please let me know. I do love learning. And then if you want to see more of us, then hit that subscribe button and follow Andy and myself on Instagram. And I hope that I see you guys tomorrow for the Princess Caribou of Javasu story. Super interesting, super weird. And next week, for Cruiser Countdown, I'm going to be talking about South Dakota. For Misheard History, I'll be talking about the history of corsets with some costume changes. And for that Tea Time and True Crime, I'll be talking about the Turpin family, which is a heavy case. So yeah, if you don't enjoy that, enjoy tomorrow's video that's not murder related. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!